Make that big boss less special. It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level gaming. Second level.
Hello, Internet, and welcome back, or welcome to, if you're new, the official Level 2 podcast, episode 43. I think we finally got one right, Tom, this week.
This is
episode 43.
Yesterday, if you watched Codename Morpheus, I was so happy that I thought I got the episode number right.
It was 13.
I didn't.
It was not. My name's Keegan, one half Level 2 Gamers, hanging out with Bangers and Mash himself, Tom. How you doing today, Tom?
Just banging and mashing, you know.
That sounds weird. You were banging the floor earlier. There's something on the floor, and you were just, like, kicking.
There was
like, what are you doing
on my foot, and it was making me crazy. So
it was not your dogs for once.
It was not my dogs. It's not my gout. I got gout.
Yeah. You're an old man.
It's so ridiculous. So
Story time.
My toe starts hurting, right? And I'm just like, okay, it's normal toe pain.
Did you kick it or something?
Well, that's the thing. It was like, you know, if you stub your toe, sometimes you can forget that you stub your toe and your toe's still sore, and you just remember, like, occasionally go, yeah, I stubbed my toe. I didn't do any of that. I didn't stub my toe. I didn't hit my toe. I didn't drop anything on my toe. My toe was fine. And then it felt like I had done something to it, and that was weird. So I got like this kind of red, I'm going to say like a rash, but there's this red sort of bump on the side of my toe. I go to the doctor's, and I'm just thinking she's going to be like, you know.
You hit it hard somewhere.
Yeah, you hit it hard. Let's just check there's no broken bones, etc. Get an x-ray. And no, she's like, you have gout.
You're old.
And I was like, what? I have gout? Like, I have a medieval disease right now, you're telling me. And yeah, so I was like, so I have the thing that, like, Henry VIII used to get and all that. Yep.
Do they have commercials for it now?
I don't
even think they have commercials for it anymore.
I don't think they even know that it exists. I may be the only case. But I got gout, and it fucking sucks.
I heard it's extremely painful.
It's
How you doing,
painful.
by the way?
I'm all right.
You good?
I'm past it now, I think.
Cool.
I'm a bit limpy, but the medicine, whatever she gave me, is working pretty good. So aside from the fact that I had to get my blood drawn and I had an x-ray, I'm all right.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're all right.
Thanks.
That doesn't have to amputate your toe.
Yeah.
A little fun fact, because I'm full of them, as you know. Did you know?
Got some gout facts on it?
Yeah. Did you know that if they cut off your pinky toe, like your little toe, it's way harder to balance?
I did.
Because your big toe is fine.
Weirdly
you can
enough.
lose your big toe, but it's your little one that
pinky
balances.
toe controls equilibrium.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. If you guys ever get in an accident, don't lose your pinky toe. Lose anything else.
Don't get gout in your pinky toe.
Get the other one.
Fun fact. Get it in the big toe.
But this is the official Level 2 podcast where we go through and we kind of relax, hang out, chat with you guys, chat with each other. We pick a topic. In the middle, we play a little game. We're doing the 20 questions game today. I got a game for Tom to guess.
I wasn't prepared.
I was not prepared either.
Yeah.
I came up with one on the spot, as we tend to do like every week now. Because I'm like, oh yeah, whose week is it? But yeah, let's jump in. Mine is gaming related. I was going to have another one, but I'm going to do this gaming related topic because it is the hot topic of the gaming industry right now.
That's a hot topic.
Hot Topic's actually a store.
It
That's
is.
okay.
I used to work there.
Yeah, I've said that before. But the topic I'm talking about is loot boxes.
Okay.
Does the gaming industry have a loot box problem? What prompted this, just so you know, a little backstory of why I wanted to bring this up, is me and Matt.
And we before you continue, we should point out we're not talking about loot crate.
Yeah,
Loot
we're talking about
boxes
loot boxes in a game.
In games.
Yes.
Yeah.
So me and Matt, who I was playing Destiny with the other day, had a firm discussion about Shadow of War and Star Wars Battlefront and kind of our opinions, and we realized we had differing opinions. Very strong differing opinions, as tends to be the case.
Negative.
No.
Yours are positive?
I mean, it depends on how you look at the situation, but that's
You
where this
said
topic
at some point in that conversation, putting my business hat on here.
No, I didn't say that for one.
say that?
I probably did. Yeah. I think I did.
I know.
But no, that's what brought the topic up, and I kind of wanted to see your opinions on it. So let's start off with, do you think there is a loot box problem in gaming? Yes or no?
Define loot box to me. Because if you're saying microtransactions, which is, I assume, kind of what we're pointing towards.
A loot box is something you can either pay for with real money or in-game to open up and not know what you're getting. That's a loot box.
Not know what you're getting.
That's a loot box.
Could it potentially give you a advantage in the game, or is it purely cosmetic?
That's the question we're asking. Is there a loot box problem? I want to know your opinion.
The loot box problem would be that if you could buy a loot box that would give you something that you either couldn't achieve in the game through other means, or gave you a significant advantage over other people in a way that they couldn't achieve through other means.
That being said, have you heard Shadow of War?
I just bought it this morning.
Do you hear about the loot box issue with Shadow of War?
No.
So you cannot get the true ending of the game without buying a loot box.
Like any loot box?
Without buying a loot box. They did not specify.
You don't have to win the ending in a loot box. You just have to buy a loot box.
Nope. The true ending of the game is inside of a loot box.
That's stupid.
So the argument is you can grind for a long time and get a loot box and be fine, or you can pay for it and get the true ending. So
yeah, that I disagree with heavily.
So the argument I was bringing up with Matt the other night is I'm going to use Overwatch as an example of a game I think is doing loot box correctly. So Overwatch for loot boxes is there's two things that are involved with it. One, they're cosmetic only. They don't affect gameplay at all. Every character has the same abilities, same thing. I am perfectly fine with that because at that point, as the consumer, you're making the choice of either I'm going to buy this or I'm not. His argument was, well, events, they're rare. You have rare skins and all this kind of stuff. I go, I understand that, but they also makes you play the game. And to me, Overwatch is not evil with how long it takes to level up. The other thing you have, too, that Overwatch does well is you have a coin system. So when you open a loot box, every so often you can get coins. I wish you could buy coins separately, but I understand kind of why they do that because it breaks the loot box system. So if you get enough coins, you can still buy a skin you want specifically. So that's why I think Overwatch does it well, because there is the random. I get excited when I get a loot box, like, oh, what did I get? Obviously, sometimes you're disappointed. Other times you're super happy. That's the way the system works. And because it does not affect gameplay at all, I'm cool with it.
It's more like a boss drop or something, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like you just like you play through the game, you beat a big boss. This is Division, for example.
Yeah.
You beat a big boss, and then the boss drops crap, and you get to go over there and be like,
better, sometimes
what
it's
did
not.
I get?
Yeah.
You know, and
sometimes
sometimes
it's good, sometimes
it's cool,
not.
sometimes it ain't.
And again, the reason I think Overwatch does well is two reasons. One, you do not have to buy loot boxes. The level up system is good enough that obviously if you buy loot boxes, you'll get more stuff quickly. I have bought loot boxes in Overwatch, and I have no qualm saying that, especially during holiday events. I tend to do it because I want the specific skins. Then Overwatch, again, you can buy skins separately if you save your coins, so I save my stuff up. And it doesn't seem to be... The issue I have with it is just the drops. I feel like sometimes there was one night where I opened up 6 loot boxes, got nothing in the first 5, like got blues and grays, the lowest ones, and I got 2 legendary in the last one. And I was like, that seems weird. Like I appreciate them giving him to me. There's not skins I wanted, which is part of the problem, but I also know going in I'm not going to necessarily get the skin I want. With games like Shadow of War, or right now with the new Battlefront, there's a controversy of buying star cards or whatever they're calling them, the power-ups, through loot boxes, which then affects gameplay, which then their argument is you can only use those cards at a certain level, so you still have to play the game, which kind of mitigates it, but at the same time those people will have that when they hit that level and already be ahead theoretically than somebody who's just playing it normally.
See, I wouldn't mind if it was like the occasional, like a different variation of a weapon that's in game or something would be like a different color or
which is what
different build
Overwatch
or whatever.
does.
But yeah,
but if it has different stats,
to have an actual like ending to the game hidden in a loot box seems super shitty.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can find the way.
Because that just doesn't ring true at all. I mean, it does ring true of the company making the game, but it doesn't really seem like that is fair at all. And as far as like Battlefront and some of the other ones you mentioned, yeah, they can get a little ridiculous. But I've always just been, regardless of whether you call it loot box, DLC, whatever it might be, I've always just been a fan of being given stuff through, like given rewards through play, but also having the option, like you said, to buy up if you're into the cosmetic side of it. Like if you just want whatever shader in Destiny or whatever skin, and you have that opportunity to buy it, then that's fine. Like I'm okay with that as an alternative to grinding forever and ever. But yeah, when you're hiding actual pieces of the game that are supposed to be in a game, like a fucking ending, that's really shitty.
So the Destiny, as an example, The issue I have with loot boxes, because technically all of Destiny, you can buy bright engrams from Destiny, which gives you ghosts and cosmetic stuff, which I understand why they only let you do that. The problem I have with the Destiny system is, I mean, prime example, last night was the last night of Iron Banner. Nate was missing one piece, and he can get 6 of one thing and not be able to get that one piece. Like, the fact that you can't buy it, even... That's where I think Overwatch does it well. I mean,
Iron Banner is a recurring theme of Destiny, though, right? Isn't it just come
yes, but this is the first week, but they don't know what they don't know if we don't know if they're going to switch up the armor, the weapons. Like, you don't know if this is. I'm guessing it's probably not. They're probably going to do what Overwatch does and says, "Hey, here's the other skins." So Overwatch, this is the second year they've done the Halloween event. So all these skins from last year are a third of the price, or 1,000 coins or 1,000 gold or whatever it's called, and the new ones are 3,000. So obviously you want to get the newer ones because it's more expensive. But if you, like, I didn't get the Mercy Witch one last year, I got it in loot box this year, and I was super excited because I was like, thank God, I've been wanting this. But I wasn't gonna drop $60 to try and get that one skin.
Right.
But it is cool. Like during holiday events, I kind of do a little bit more because it makes sense because they are rarer or more rarer. But yeah, that's where I think Overwatch does it right. Destiny, I have the issue with doing it where you cannot buy the thing. So, like, to me, if you open up a loot box, you should get some sort of currency to then, if you collect enough of said currency, you can then buy said item. That's just my take on it, because I think that balances it out really well versus otherwise you're just waiting for, hoping when something drops that A, it's better, and B, it's what you want. And you could be playing for 100 hours and not get the one. It's like the World of Warcraft thing. When the boss drops something, like, you could be waiting and not get that one.
On the flip side of the coin, though, like, I didn't buy Shadows of War because I necessarily wanted to see a particular ending or whatever. Like, I have no idea like what even the story is. And endings are nice, right? Endings almost always fluff it. I've not seen too many endings where I've actually been like, that was worth the time that I put into this game. What really I get my enjoyment out of with a game like Shadows of War is the actual gameplay and actually playing it and experiencing the new mechanics and the new weapons and the new way that you can control people, and you know, it's just going to be a good game. I know that outright. So like, even though it is a little frustrating, I don't think I'm bothered that much by it that I would like throw a hissy fit over it. You know what I mean?
So I don't want to. There's obviously this is the ending of the game, so there's huge spoilers. I'm going to try and avoid all spoilers, but basically at the last act, something happens, and this is where loot boxes come in. The loot boxes sold in Shadow of War contain strong orcs, which is added to your army. So at the end of the game, you can either grind through and dominate with enough orcs in order to successfully defend your way through more than a dozen extra siege battles, or you can spend money and instantly win some sweet orcs.
See, so that's an option, though.
But the question is, how long is the grind? That's the thing.
If you love the game,
but if it's
that's what you do.
But if it's a 100-hour grind at the end of the game, it's going to burn you out. That's my thing. Like, if it's reasonable, it's like anything else. Just be reasonable with it. Like, I'm cool with it of saying, hey, like right now in Destiny, like I said, I've hit level 20. I'm 304 on my main, or 303 on my main character. I'm just trying to get level 305 stuff. And that gives me a reason to get back in the game from that character of like, okay, obviously we got to do the raid and all this other stuff, but like, I'm not a hoarder in video games, except for Overwatch. I love all the skins because they're... Division, yeah, but Division I don't. Division loot boxes I hate because they weren't even necessary.
Yeah,
they added them after they said they weren't going to add microtransactions. They added microtransactions, and like, if you're gonna fucking say you're not gonna add microtransactions, don't add them.
And if you say you're gonna put VR in a game, do it. Project Cars.
Yes, and abduction.
And abduction, yeah. Although I believe they will. But,
we'll see. Yeah, fuck you, Project Cars. But no, that's like this has been a controversy because more and more games are getting loot boxes, and it's a good way for the microtransaction to sustain a game. And then there's a whole other argument as buying games for $60. Should there be microtransactions? And again, it's more of if it doesn't add to gameplay, if it's just cosmetic, I'm all for it because then as a consumer, you're making the choice to buy those things.
Yeah, and I will never do that. Like, I don't think... Like, Last of Us had a similar principle where you could go in and buy different, like, clothes and things like that. And I'm just like, for a game that is a single-player game, I'm probably not going to play more than once every year, if I'm even going to do that. It just doesn't make sense to me to put that like Shadows of War. I will play it, I'll finish it, and I won't touch it again, and that's how I work, unless I just have a nostalgia fest one day to want to play that game. But I think it's a little bit different with an online game.
Like it's persistent. Like I mean, look at Elder Scrolls. You can buy crowns, and I've bought many a crowns.
Right, and that's like because you're putting, you know, that the time and effort that you're putting into your character in that game is something that you're going to want to sit with for a long time. So yeah, it makes more sense for sure to implement a better system into a online version of a game. They have a ton of this similar type of thing with the card games that are right there, like Gwent and Elder Scrolls Legends.
Well, that's the example. I can't remember who it was used of, like, it is like when you buy a pack of cards for not virtual but real card games, your friend could get this sweet ass card and you could get nothing.
Yeah,
like that's just the way it works.
That's part of the deal. But you know, in cards, it seems to make a little bit more sense, and you can still get those cards through playing the game and playing high level adversaries, but you could just, you know, go the easy route out and
again, as long as it, to me, if it's obtainable in game and it's not stupid grindfest, I'm all for it. Like I said, Overwatch, to me, I can level up Overwatch if I'm playing with people, because you get, one of the things Overwatch does really cool is if you're playing with people, you get 20% more XP. So I play with friends all the time. I'm always getting 20% more, but I can level up at least once in an Overwatch session. So I get at least one loot box, which is great, because I feel like most games, when you get higher level, it takes longer to level up. And just fuck this.
Shout out to Pokemon Go.
Yeah. Well, that's like, whatchamacallit? Destiny 2, what they're doing is the first 3 levels every week when they reset, when you log in, you get those level up quicker. And then they have things to give you bonus XP that you can buy in-game, so on and so forth. But they also allow you to use in-game currency to buy it, or you can use silver, whatever you want to do. Choices, options. Everybody loves options. And as long as that option is in the game somehow and not tied behind a wall, unless they explicitly say it's behind a wall. So, like, I'm going to use the example of weird Japanese games that always have these skins you can buy. I don't care about that, because I consider that DLC. That's not affecting the game in any way, shape, or form. Like on Tales of Zestiria, I bought the swimsuit outfit because I thought it'd be funny. I did that. I made that choice.
It was free for Persona. Persona 5. I bought the swimsuit. Well, I didn't buy it because it was free, but
that's what I'm saying. Like, that to me is a personal choice. It's not affecting your game at all, and you're allowed to do that. I get the counter argument to that of like, well, if they're going to add it, might as well do it. But I was like, well, it doesn't affect the gameplay. Yeah. The other argument with loot boxes is gambling, which is a whole different conversation. Because the ESRB came out, because if the game has gambling in it, it's an adult only rating, which means it's not sold in retail stores. And ESRB came out and said it is not gambling because you're getting something. Yeah. So they said
it's not gambling because there's not like a chance that you spend money and then you just get literally
nothing,
no loot box. Yes. Like, you will get a loot box, you just might not like what's in it.
Exactly.
It's more like a mystery bag.
Yes, that's the way I look at it. Yeah. And that's where again, I don't have a problem with loot boxes in theory, as long as they're implemented right. When I was talking to Matt, I said at some point some company is going to do, and I think Shadow of War might be the starting of it, but if it gets to the point where there is content locked behind a loot box or locked behind something,
that's when we have a problem.
That's when the gamers need to come back and say, hey, because I have no issue with loot boxes in theory, in practice on a lot of games. It's when it makes my gaming experience worse if I choose not to buy it. Yeah, that's where I have the issue.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. It's as long as it's attainable outside of the loot box realm, I'm fine with it. If it's not, and it's purely like you can only get a certain sniper rifle or a certain whatever by paying money for a loot box, then we got a problem.
And then you got the whole other conversation of exclusives when you pre-order, which, again, as long as it's not the best one, like,
that still annoys me. That like each one has a different one. It's just like, come on, man, can't we have like an ultimate version that just has all of them?
Everything. Yeah. So I don't think there's a loot box issue. I think we could be heading towards one if companies aren't smart with how they do it, but I also think it's up to consumers to say, hey, if you don't like loot boxes,
vote with your wallet.
Yeah. I am one that is voting with my wallet, saying with Overwatch, again, I've probably put close to 40, 50, 60 bucks into loot boxes in that game and not thought twice, because I'm enjoying it. I understand what I'm getting into. Versus like Destiny, I bought just for fun, I bought silver, which is their currency to buy the commodes and stuff like that.
It's no wonder you're broke.
Yeah. Exactly. But I bought, well, this is over a course of like 2 years.
Fair enough.
But I bought silver just to try it and see if it was worth it. And I was immediately like, why did I do that? Like, the reward didn't match what I was getting into, and I was like, I'm not going to do it again.
I think in the adverse crowns in Elder Scrolls are very worth it. I think that, you know...
it sucks you can't get those in game, though. That's the complaint I have with that.
That's true. But you get the cosmetic mixed in with some genuinely, like, really cool shit. So...
I mean, I bought a house with crowns.
But, like, the fact that they even make you buy, essentially, the DLC, like, guilds and content with crowns is
well, that reminds me back in the day with the Microsoft points and all that. Like, we didn't actually use currency.
God, I wish they would do something like that, where they would let you just like play games to win pretend money that you could spend on like games in the store.
Oh, I would love. So Microsoft said a little while ago they're changing the way achievements are, and I would love if that's the case. Like, if you get X amount of trophies in a game, you get some sort of kickback of reward system. You're rewarding the player for playing your game.
Even if it's just like fucking themes and stuff.
Yeah.
It'd be nice.
Like just something. And I would love that kind of thing. It doesn't have to be anything expensive.
I'm with you.
So I'd love to know your guys' opinion on loot boxes. I'm sure this is going to be a very strong one. But I don't think there's an issue yet. I think we could be heading towards one. But I have bought many loot boxes in Overwatch. Like I said, Destiny, I'm never going to buy silver again. I think those are the only two games. Oh, GTA, I've bought shark cards back in the day too. But shark cards is different because you then buy the money to then buy what you want. So again, as long as you know what you're getting with microtransactions, I'm cool. As long as you go into the understanding of like, I know I'm gonna get this, or like for loot boxes for Overwatch, I know I'm getting a loot box, but out of that loot box, I might get some coins or I might get the skins I want, whatever it may be. And I feel like the drop rate in Overwatch specifically is not bad enough that I've been like, I wished I didn't spend that money. I've always gotten something that I've wanted, whether it's an emote or a skin, which is the most sought after thing.
Right.
So
interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
Moving on. Let's move on to the 20 questions game here. I'm going to pull up the notes here so I can make a note. So this is where I have picked a game. Tom has to ask me 20 closed questions. I do want to narrow down one rule because I feel like it's cheating. Is you cannot ask what genre it is. You have to figure that out through yes or no questions because I feel like that narrows it down too much for a lot of things.
Okay.
Just saying. That's the only one I think cannot be a closed question. Okay. But other than that, everything else is fair game, open to go. And I am ready when you are. Let me pull up my game here. Let me whoop. That's my pulling up my game noise.
What genre is it?
Fuck you.
Okay. So, all right.
Question number one.
Question number one. What console did it release on first?
Same day, released on Genesis, SNES, and Sega CD. I probably gave you a lot there because there's not very many Sega CD games.
Does it involve a blue hedgehog?
No.
Shit. I was going straight to Sonic
CD. Yeah, that would have been too.
Although that would have been on the SNES, would it? I guess not.
No.
All right.
Yeah. You wasted a question.
Did I?
Question 3. Oh. Well, because Sonic's not on the SNES, so you kind of wasted a question.
So okay, so it's on SNES, Genesis, and Sega CD same day. You said
it was released on the same day on Genesis and SNES. It does not say the month it was released in for Sega CD. It just said same year.
Okay. Can you tell me the name of the developer?
High Score Productions.
Great. That's good old what's their face? High Score Productions. Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And High Score Productions, yeah, they did the 3 consoles because it's also on PC as well, but those are the console versions. Because you won't know the other one on PC.
I will say this: what is the protagonist? What because I don't like. Is it like a robot, a creature,
there is
a human?
None.
There's no protagonist. There's no main thing.
Nope.
Okay. Is it a fighting game?
Negatory.
No protagonist.
Yeah.
What games don't have a protagonist?
This one.
I guess so. All right. Is it part of a larger series that has continued over the years?
Yes.
Can I roll into that question? Like, how many?
That'll be another question.
How many?
I don't know the exact number, but I will tell you that this series is still going on. It'd be too many. There's too many of me to count off the top of my head of how many we've had.
Genesis. And the thing that's fucking me up is that it's on the Genesis and the SNES. If it was one or the other, I feel like I could hone it down a lot better. So it's not a fighting game. There's no protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a racing game?
No.
Shit. Is it a sports game?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We're getting there.
You're at question. This will be question number 10.
I know. I got 10 more.
I'm just letting you know. I was giving them an update too.
All right. So it was on the SNES. It was on the Mega Drive. It was on the Genesis. It's a sports game. Mm-hmm. Can I ask what genre of sport?
I feel like they'd give it away.
Is it baseball?
No.
Is it football?
No.
Is it American football?
No.
Shit. Is it hockey?
Yes.
Can you fight?
You ask good questions. Give me a second here to find that answer. I want to say yes, but I don't know for sure. Good old internet.
What question am I on, by the way?
14 will be your next one.
Okay, so I have 6 more.
It does not have fighting.
So it's pre-1994. Because NHL 94 was the first game that had fighting in it, to my knowledge. What are you looking up?
What I'm looking up?
Yeah.
I've closed the wrong window.
Okay. All right. Hockey game. Is it a traditional hockey game, like in the sense of like an NHL game, or is it like a weird side game? It's traditional.
Yep.
What year did it come out?
94.
Is it NHL 94?
Yes.
Yeah.
Came out technically 93, but yeah, NHL 94. So NHL 94 was the last game to not have fighting in it.
I thought it was the first game to have fighting in it.
That's what I had to Google.
Wow.
It was the last game to not have fighting. NHL 95 was the first one to have fighting in it.
Really? That's why you could knock people out in 94. That's why it was so popular, is because it was the first one you could do that.
According to the internet, it is not.
The internet's wrong, man. I have that game. I swear I punched people in that game.
So NHL 94 is an ice hockey game by EA Sports for the Genesis, SNES, and Sega CD, as well as the first release for PC, DOS, simply titled NHL Hockey without 94 in the title. The game is officially licensed from the NHL Hockey League and the NHL Players Association, being the third game in the NHL Media Series. It released October 1993. NHL 94 launched to critical acclaim, has since been referred as both the greatest sports game of all time as well as the greatest games ever made. It was developed by High Score Productions and Park Place Productions with help from EA Canada.
Also featured in the movie Mallrats. Did you know that?
The NHL Hockey League and EA Sports removed fighting from the game.
Removed it? It was there at some point.
It just says it says NHL Hockey League has EA Sports remove fighting from the game. Not removed, remove, not past tense. Remove.
I have it. I'm gonna play it and I'm gonna
see if it has fighting.
Beat you up in it,
including game modes such as exhibition games, Stanley Cup playoffs, single game series, Stanley Cup Players playoffs, best of 7, and shootout mini games. Critically acclaimed around the world. I was hoping I was gonna get you, but as soon as you narrowed down hockey, I was like, "Fuck, there's not that many hockey games."
Well, you wouldn't let me say genre, so I had to just keep asking individual ones.
Yes, because I wanted you to burn your questions on that.
Well, yeah, I did.
I felt like that would have been too easy if I just said hockey. So you got it in 15 questions.
I thought NHL 94 as soon as you said hockey, but then I was like, yeah, I got to try and narrow this down a bit more, even though that's the most famous one.
That's why I was debating on, I was like, I could have done one that's not as famous. I was like, no, because that's not fair. I should do at least
No, it was good. It was good. I got like 14
That's the first one you got.
Deep,
that's the first one you got.
First one I've ever got, guys, on the show. Congratulations to me.
Woo, did it. NHL 94.
On that, NHL 94. And I have it.
There's actually an NHL 94 mode in NHL 6.
That is true. They added it as a special classic bonus.
I played the crap out of it.
I like it when they do that, when they add the original. Like South Park just added the original to if you pre-ordered it. And they had Prince of Persia, I think, had the original Prince of Persia game in the Sands of Time. I think it was.
Remember back in the day when you got like demos with games? I played the crap out of Fusion Frenzy.
Why don't they release magazines with demos anymore?
Because they don't release magazines anymore.
That's true.
No, somebody the other day in a gaming group said, what is one demo that you either played from a magazine or on another game that you put more hours into but never bought the game? And me, I was like, Fusion Frenzy. I've probably played close to like 80 hours of that game, but it was only the demo.
I played a lot of sports games because they would only give you one half.
Yeah.
So I would just play over and over again or like fighting games, the ones that,
I did the Fight Night demo quite a bit.
Yeah.
Fight Night Round 3
Fight Night Round 3 was a big one.
Was the one I played the crap out of.
That was a good demo, that. Yeah. Good point.
So...
All right, so yay for me. So moving on to my tales. Now, I had two to choose from. The one came to me in a weird moment of conscious thought this morning, which is the large block that you're reading at the top there. And the other one was something that I actually had in mind pre-planned. So I have to pick one of them.
You do.
And I think I'm going to go with the second one, because the first one I think we can use for indie next week because it is slightly indie-based. So... That's charming.
Excuse you.
So here's a small story to start with, and then kind of the thoughts and feelings that accompanied that, and then led me onto a different train of kind of thought. Okay.
So you went from the G train to the H train.
Something like that.
Cool.
So for those of you that don't know, I run a side business with my wife where I sell clothing.
I'm wearing the shirt actually.
Yeah, it's a popular brand. They're called LuLaRoe. And
I always call it Lulu.
LuLaRoe.
Or Little Lulu.
Which actually sounds cooler, I think.
LuLaRoe.
But no, LuLaRoe are a huge company. They do really well. They sell mostly women's clothes. They do have a lot of guys stuff though, as Keegan is modeling for
I'm wearing a women's clothes right now.
It's comfortable though, right? Like the shirt?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. See,
I've worn it a few times. I like it because it feels like an athletic shirt, but it's not.
Yeah, it's the material, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
So it's
the material, I tell you.
It's the material.
It's the great material. Hey,
buy stuff from
you should
me.
buy the LuLaRoe stuff. Is this your shameless plug for LuLaRoe?
No, it's not.
Okay.
So I actually have a story.
I thought you were gonna be like, you should buy all this shit for me right now.
LuLaRoe does this thing where they have capsules, right? And capsules are like basically a time, like loot boxes. They are timed patterns or styles that come out in limited quantities. That's the whole thing with LuLaRoe, is that they'll only will ever release this many to this many of anything. Like it's
also why it's known as limited edition or special edition.
Yeah, exactly. So there's like 500 to 1500 of this print in the wild in this size. That's it forever. Amen. You're not going to get it after that. So there's a sort of a sense of urgency to it. So this company had a deal with Disney. And Disney, basically, they have like LuLaRoe by Disney or Disney by LuLaRoe or something like that.
Probably Disney by LuLaRoe.
And so they're allowed to sell Disney-themed clothing, which they've been selling for a while now. And, of course, it's wildly popular because Disney is wildly popular.
I wonder if does that include like Marvel, or is that only just strictly Disney?
Currently
characters?
just straight-up Mouse House stuff.
Okay.
That's
what I'd assume, because they probably... this deal was probably struck before all that happened.
Right. So I'm pretty excited at the thought of them actually getting in some Marvel stuff or some Star Wars stuff, but
especially with the movie coming out.
Right. So they also recently had a Halloween capsule, because obviously it's coming up to Halloween, and this is a big deal for LuLaRoe fans. The leggings are kind of like the big thing everyone loves to buy because they are made out of this incredibly comfortable material.
I've never worn a pair of LuLaRoe leggings.
You haven't, but I can make that happen. But LuLaRoe leggings are renowned for being some of the most comfortable leggings in the world because of the material they're made out of. They're very, very popular. And so alongside the Halloween stuff, there also was two other capsules that were super limited. They're kind of part of the same thing. They were Disney villains and Nightmare Before Christmas, to kind of tie in with the Halloween stuff, but also be part of the Disney stuff. So they were a sub capsule of a bigger capsule, and they would come in the same box. So when you would order, you would get Disney villains and NBC stuff at the same time, right? So people lost their ever-loving minds over this stuff. We ordered a lot of this stuff, and we had a live sale the other night where, not to give you an idea of how our live sales normally go, we get maybe 8 to 15 people watching at a given time. We'll sell a couple things, maybe make enough to buy a new box and get some more inventory, maybe not. And then we do sales outside of that. Now, with this Disney Villain Nightmare Before Christmas deal, because these were A, limited edition, super limited edition, B, some of the most sought after things the company's ever put together, and C, we had a lot of them, we put on a big show. So we got dressed up. My wife dressed up like Maleficent. I dressed up like Captain Hook, and we had this live show. And this show got shared out to a few different buy-sell trade groups, which we're not allowed to do, but other people decided to do it on behalf of us. So, so
kind of like Reddit, where you're not allowed to share your stuff, but if they do it,
if someone else does it, it's fine. Yeah. So anyway, long story short, we end up with like 113 people watching, which for a LuLaRoe consultant is like crazy. For the people that are like 2, 3, 4 rungs above us on the ladder, that are like, this is their job that they do, they get that on a regular basis. For people that are in our like sort of where
you just started a few months ago.
Yeah, exactly. We just started a few months ago. So for us to be like this small of a group, and we have like less than 1,000 members of our group, but we still had over 100 watching live at the same time. So here's the thing: it's almost like when you're streaming. Mm-hmm. Streaming a video game, and you notice a sudden bump from a like spike or a raid or whatever it might be.
For the few times you over 100, you're like, oh fuck,
right, exactly,
something's happening.
And this is the point I'm trying to make. So we went from perfectly chill, normal evening of like 10, 20 people watching to suddenly over 113 people watching, and it got nuts. Like, people are fighting in the chat.
That's when you have to have moderators.
I know, because the thing about LuLaRoe is that when you're selling it, you're supposed to say sold and then the item number of the thing you want to buy. It's like sold 137, sold 456. But people that were in there were just typing sold when we held something up with like, no, we hadn't put up the number yet, and we were just like, you have to wait for us to put the number up. This is how this works. This is how we know what you want, and all this kind of stuff. And people were arguing and fighting because they didn't do it right the second time and all this kind of stuff. And it went nuts. And after the show, because we maintained like over 80 people for the entirety of this 3-hour like production that we did. After the show, my wife comes up to me and says, "Is that what this is going to be like if we get big?" That was fucking horrible, because we just got mullered.
You said, welcome to the internet.
So we just got murdered on like live, and none of us were expecting it, and we were trying so hard, and there's 2 of us doing this whole thing. So me and Keegan, we're recording this now, but we can edit this, and we can, there's when we're live streaming, we don't have the option. So my thought was, on my question, I suppose, that I wanted to talk to you about, was that like after that experience, my wife got shook up about it. She's been like had anxiety for days now over this, and I was okay with it. I went with the flow because I'm kind of used to it, and like. Well,
I mean, you've been there. Like when I've had reactions, like when we get raided, I'm like, I immediately go from the reaction I have when something like that happens. I go from, like you said, calm, chill, like it's usual people, you know what you're getting into. Then when people come in, you're like, I don't know who these people are. That's when having moderators, that's where they, like, James has been great when that's happened. We've had...
Funnily enough, Drew actually does hop in and watch our live sales and kind of moderates them.
Because, James, Drew, and then now Ethan, Wheezy's kid, is pretty much there to moderate. And it's super awesome to have them, because when you're trying to maintain peace, you don't catch everything, and as the presenter, you want to keep going with your presentation, and that's the same thing when you're playing a video game.
This was a hole we fell into, was that we're so used to like whenever anyone comments, being like, "Ooh, a comment," and then just like reading it out and being like, "Oh yeah," and agreeing with it. This flow was going so fast, and there was all these weird, and like we look up at one point and we see like someone had posted like "fuck you guys" or whatever, and we're just like, "Holy shit, what happened?" Like we had no idea. So
that's why when I tell you like, "Hey, I had to take care of a chat thing," that's usually what it is.
Yeah, and I'm so used to just reading this shit out because I have no filter on this show or on level 2 stuff. So I'm just like sat there like laughing at like all these crude comments that are coming out and like repeating them, which I'm definitely not supposed to do on that. And then it took me a while to realize, you know what, there's probably a better way to deal with this, and that would be to shut the fuck up and stop paying lip service to these things that are on the screen. Ignore them.
Yep.
Keep as much control as you have over the show and keep going. But it was a weird moment for us to kind of have that like instant moment of popularity where we were completely unprepared for it. So my thought was, we own a YouTube channel. We run a YouTube channel, have done for a while now. It's doing pretty good.
And we had a few moments where shit gets crazy.
It happens. We plateau now and again, and then suddenly something cool will happen, and we get further, and we're at like, I don't know, close to like 1,070 right now, somewhere in that region.
We just passed it the other day, I believe.
We might have done. But this is
like, pulled up live, actually.
This is not something that I get super nervous about because I have time to edit this. I have time to clean it up and make it cool. And even on a live show, like if
1,074.
If like 200-300 people showed up to the live show, I wouldn't have to modify myself because I know that, you know, what we do and who we are and how we talk and how we act is
us.
Why people are there for the most part, or why they hang around. So like, then I started thinking about people like Ethan, not the Ethan moderator, but Crank. And, you know, we talked to him at Indie PopCon, and I'm like,
he's on tour right now with Markiplier.
Yeah, when this dude goes up, or Markiplier, or Jacksepticeye, when they go and play a game live, they have
30,000.
They have 30,000 people.
Like Markiplier did a charity stream the other day that had at the peak had 42,000 people watching.
Yeah. So imagine that. Like, I'm freaking out over 100 people watching me sell leggings. Like, but having 40,000+ people
that's a football
watching
stadium.
you. And we talked as well about like how there are moments where you do sink into perhaps a more casual habitat, and for someone that's a piece of shit like PewDiePie, you say things you're not supposed to say in front of this said audience of 40,000 people or whatever. It's on the internet. It lives forever. You can't escape
Somebody's already clipped it.
And and it's so it's like
that's why when we live stream, they may not know this, but I just punched my mic. But you know this is I have a set of rules. When they live stream with us of like, because you can't edit it. If not that any of our friends are racist or anything like that, but I have to set it clear of like, if you do X, Y, and Z, you are gone. Yeah. Like you're not allowed. And the same thing with chat.
We've always been very protective of equal rights and things like that. So we have to definitely keep an eye on that stuff. But that's just who we are. But I guess the overall arching question that I have was, what is the price of fame for someone like us or someone in YouTube? Like, there's so many people that would look at numbers like Markiplier puts up and be like, "Oh wow, that's amazing." Imagine having 40,000 people watching your every word, everything you're doing.
They watch you pick your nose.
Playing along with you and giving you suggestions and stuff. Hard to monitor that as far as the chat goes. I think at that point you just kind of let it go. Yeah. But
it's all spam.
But like, what's the price of that? Like, you have had a better modicum of success than we have had as a duo previously before. And
I have some stories of people who found me in the real world. So
yeah, let's start with some of those.
So I'm gonna start with, so again, some of the stuff I can talk about legally, some of it I'm still under NDA, so I'm gonna be kind of vague of what I'm talking about. But there is some festivals, like when I was doing the music stuff, when I was at music festivals and I got spotted, I expected that. Like, that's an area where my audience was concentrated. They're gonna see me. They're gonna come want to say hi to me. They're gonna want to shake hands. Did
that happen often?
No, it was more people noticed me when I started speaking, because you saw the Jen Ledger video where like you can hear me but you don't see me. Right. That was a lot of the videos was like you'll hear my voice in the background asking questions but you don't see me on camera, which was really weird when people recognize me
by your voice.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, I know that voice. Again, when you're in festival mode, it's whatever. Usually it's, hey, I got to go interview so-and-so, so I got to go work. Sorry, like, quick picture, go. The scary part is when it's outside of that. When it's outside of your I'm in work mode, when you see somebody. I use the analogy of finding your teacher at the grocery store. It just seems odd, and it's off-putting. I had a situation where...
What are you doing here, Mr. Johnson?
Exactly. I had a situation where... don't know how they found me, but they found my house on Instagram, these two girls, and they just wanted to take a picture. They wanted to meet me. It was the way it was. And they waited for me after school at my house, and I said, don't ever do this. It doesn't only affect me, it affects my family. Privacy is a big thing online, and that's why I've always told you, like, when we record in front of your house, like, don't shoot your house in the shot, make sure you don't get license plates. Like, that's why, because people will find you. It's really scary sometimes.
Detectives online.
Yeah, that's real scary sometimes. But I had a situation where they ended up finding me, and I was like, hey, don't tell anybody where I live. Like, at that point, I got to the situation where I had to talk to my parents about it, say, hey, this is what happened. This is who showed up. What do you want me to do?
Were they nice, at least?
They were. They just wanted to meet me. And
were they understanding when you explained it?
Yes, they got it. They were just, again, it was more of they just wanted to meet me. Like, that still sounds weird when I say it out loud. But it's one of those things where that was what their mindset was. Like, hey, we know where this guy is. We want to go meet him. And I was like,
well,
okay,
clearly,
cool.
Though, there's a level of psychoticness to actually doing all the paperwork to find you.
Yeah, I didn't want to ask him how. I wasn't really concerned with that. My first concern was to address them, saying, don't put my address online. Don't tell people where I live, because, again, it affects me and my parents. And also...
were you living with your parents at the time?
Yeah, I was 16 at the time. 15, 16 at the time.
Man,
so,
little Bieber.
Yeah, no, it was weird. But yeah, like that to me is where you cross the line of. I use the example of like paparazzi. That would drive me crazy. And again, when I was at festivals, you'd get the arm tug or the hey, are you so and so? I'm like, yeah, and it happens. It's the way it is. It's just kind of how you understand it. Obviously, when you're streaming online, I think it's a bit different because you can't control it, but you're in control.
You're in semi-control of the environment.
That makes sense. Yeah. So you can, like, if something goes wrong on the stream, you can stop the stream. You can knock people off.
Right.
That kind of thing. But obviously, if you say something or something gets said, it's a whole different ballgame. And I've seen horror stories of people's addresses being posted in the comments, and then at that point, you're playing damage control.
And you have like the swatting and stuff that was going on for a while there.
It still happens.
It still?
Yep.
Ugh.
But it's just one of those things where it's just like, it sucks because you're putting yourself out there, and these people think they know you. And it's the same thing I do. Like, a prime example, when I met Mr. Ray Honda at Indie PopCon 2 years ago, you talk to the dude online, and obviously me and him had a little bit different relationship than just a viewer and a content creator. We had conversations outside of YouTube, meeting up, all this kind of stuff. I'd like to say we're friends at this point. But then when I met Bob through Ray, and Bob was like, oh, I heard about you, Bob being my skirm, said, I heard you wanted to interview me. And it's like, at that point, like, I know Bob, and it's weird because Bob has no idea who I am, but I feel like I know him because I've seen all of his videos. I kind of have an idea of his personality, and it's just real weird because you realize you know nothing about the dude outside of what he shows on the internet.
Yeah.
And it's scary because I've been on the other side of that, and I think I told you when we first started, I was concerned about sitting in front of the camera because of that and being noticed, and it's you know what you're getting into, but at the same time, it's a scary thought if it does explode.
It's a mixture because, like, I mean, we spent some time at Pixel Pop, and that's a gaming developer festival in St. Louis, and we were lucky enough to have some really cool members of the Twitch community there. W. Gates or Greats, and Aurelian, and like Aurelian, she is pretty fucking huge. Like she's a Twitch community manager. Yeah. She also is a content creator. She goes about it in a unique way in the fact that, like, she allows her kid to be in videos with her, but does not ever give the real name of her kid. They just call him, like, was it Boo or something like that? Kids
is a whole different ballgame. I don't have to worry about that, obviously. But.
Yeah, obviously. But it's, but, you know, like, she has to deal with that in a very particular way because she's, you know, she has like 128,000 followers or whatever.
I mean, the other thing, too, is, like, unboxing stuff. Make sure your address isn't on it. Like, little things like that you don't think about at the time that you're like, ooh. Make sure you don't have
shout outs, by the way, to Dream Saga right now, because that dude is doing so well for himself. Our good friend Cody, he has had a ton of people approach him, and I was casually browsing through YouTube the other day, and because we're subscribed to his channel, like, it showed a list of a bunch of his videos, and they're all like 1.2 thousand, 3.5 thousand. I was like, wow, like, and this is stuff that he did as like throwaway videos a year ago that didn't get more than 30 views, and now they're like, for whatever reason, they're getting off. Someone's like noticing and bumping him up. So shout out to him. Hopefully he is not putting leaving his address on the on those boxes.
I think he's pretty. From what I've watched, he's pretty good at blocking.
He's pretty smart
because he knows.
Yeah.
But it just takes one slip up is the scary part.
All it takes is one thing.
And like he did one on AirPods, and he made sure he covered up serial number, things like that.
And it's something that, like, we do go out and about. We do film sometimes outside the house or in the garden or whatever it might be. It's rare, but it does happen. And it's one of those things where I don't think about it. You're usually the one that like says, "Hey, by the way, make sure that your number's not on there or whatever."
Yeah. Like there's one time when I pulled up and you were filming me, and I was like, "Make sure my license plate's not in that shot."
I think it was, but it was too far away to read it.
But that's what I'm saying.
Hopefully,
like,
there's no CSI.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like that
enhance,
stuff, like things like that,
yeah,
will get you because you can track somebody from a license plate number.
So. Yeah, I mean, it was just kind of a thought that I was having was like, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? It's a case of like, obviously you want viewers, you want people to know you. Like when you had John show up in a mall close to where we work, and some random guy from St. Louis just say, "Hey, you're Keegan from Level 2," and you were just like, "Oh shit!" Like,
I am.
Yes, that's me. And we had a guy come in the other day that again like showed like it thinks, "Hey, are you these guys or like are you this guy?" And we're like, "Yeah, that's weird. Hi, how you doing?" But it's not like we're getting like stopped at the grocery store or anything, but very rarely it does happen, and when it happens it's a treat for me because I mean it feels good, right? It feels good to know there's people that are listening and watching,
and it's one of those things where like whenever I went to festivals, I would go and make time to make sure I could wander the grounds and meet people. Like obviously I'm working at these places, like I'm doing a job, but I would go and tell whoever's leading, be like, "Hey, I'm gonna go spend an hour and just wander around and see." For me, it's just to see what's up, but also if I got stopped, that's my time to do it. And it gives you it's cool. I will never be the guy that turns down a photo unless I have somewhere to be. Like there was times where this poor girl came up to me. I can't remember if it was Soulfest or Warped Tour or somewhere. She came up to me and she wanted a picture, and I was like, I had to go do an interview with somebody, and like I was already running late by that point because we had waited for edit to finish. And I was already running late, and I was like, I gotta go. I'm sorry. And she, like, you could see her heart break, and I was like, oh, don't do this.
It takes less than 5 seconds for a picture. So.
Yes, but if you stop, it starts stacking up. That's the issue.
You could say what?
No, you say that, but then if the next person breaks, do you stop for that person? And it adds up. Okay. Like when I interviewed Bob, a prime example, you can actually see it in the video. Because we're in interview mode back and forth, me and him. And at one point, we both look up at the exact same time and kind of look by, and you can see us go. Because there's no joke about 100 people behind the camera staring at us, waiting to get to talk to Bob. Because it kind of shocked me. Because when I'm in work mode, I tend to zone everything else out. Like camera, a lot of times I forget there. We're just having a conversation. And you can look, like I said, if you want to go back and watch that interview, because there's a moment where we both look up and go, he's like, "Oh, hey." And I was like, there's a lot of people here.
It happened a little bit at the Ukiyo Pop booth as well. Like, and a lot of it is just because why is there a camera and why is there microphones? Because everyone is instinctually kind of drawn to that, I think. It's like, oh, there's an interview happening. Who is that? And if you're at a festival where one of those people is like one of the headliners of the festival, then yes, clearly there are going to be some people that are hanging out. In our case with Ukiyo, like no one really knew who this dude was, but they knew that we were interviewing him, so therefore there was something going on. And then the entire store was surrounded by people that then, after we finished, went in and started looking at his artwork, and we couldn't have asked for a better outcome for something like that. We are small. We will probably always have a small mentality, regardless of how big we ever do potentially get. But I just thought it was an interesting kind of thing to dwell on and think about for a little bit, because that moment of like complete panic that washed over when we were doing
I really have those
sale.
Now. Like I have the moment of, oh shit, gotta go into
mode. I don't
mode.
have it here. It's because the other thing.
It's partially, especially on the live stream, because you're not controlling the stream. That's the other thing, is like there will be times where you'll make a joke and I'm like, I'm dealing with something right now, and that's usually what it is. Is some asshole?
I get it.
Some asshole in the chat.
I'm
or
a dick in lives. I get it. But someone has to make jokes while you're like not talking. So
yeah.
But they're just usually at your expense.
I just gotta deal with, like, there was one, I'm not gonna say who it was or what they said, but there's one a few months ago that just dropped a lot of words that should not have been in the chat. The whole chat was like, "Whoa, what's going on?" I was like, let me quash this before it happens.
Right.
I tend to do timeout and say, hey, don't do that, especially if they're new. If they do it again, they're gone. Like I'm very much like not dealing with that
one
shit.
And done.
Yeah. So that's the best way to handle it. Or like you said, ignore it, because on Facebook, I don't know if you can block people or not from the chat.
You can, but I don't know if you can do it during or we had to do it after.
That's what I'm saying.
But
I don't know.
yeah, we it was the first person we've ever had to block, and we've only been doing it for like a couple months, like you said. So weird experience. But it just made me think about this, and in terms of like, we rarely get like 100 people watching. Some it has happened, but
I think our peak was 132.
Yeah, which is weird. Yeah, it's close to what we were. But it's one of those things where you want the attention, you want people to notice you, senpai. You want to cross that barrier of where people are like, they would come up to, like if they saw me and you, because we walk together at festivals and stuff. So when we were at a conference, I want someone one day to come up and say, "Hey, it's Tom and Keegan." And just like know who we are because we're together. Like maybe if we were separate, they wouldn't recognize us, but because we're together, they're like, "Oh, it's level 2 or whatever." Like that to me would be like just about the right amount. Like just very rarely get noticed by people that are fans of the show.
It'll get bigger. If this gets bigger, it magnitudes. And the other thing, like with Markiplier or Jacksepticeye or PewDiePie or any of those guys, is you have to remember that to them, it's a point of critical mass. Once you hit enough people, like I was telling you, I was showing you one of my old channels that I had, and there's like 200 comments on a video. I was like, I haven't responded to like any of these because you didn't have time.
Right.
I know you love responding to comments, but there'll be a point where you will be disappointed that you literally do not have enough time to respond to every comment, and that sucks. That's the worst feeling as a content creator to get to that point of like, you're excited because like, yeah, people are watching, but at the same time you're like, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I wish I had time.
I don't think I'd ever be. I think I would pick and choose. I think I'd do like an AMA. Like you ever seen someone with an AMA? Like you have like 500 questions, but they'll answer like 25.
Yeah,
like that would be.
But that's still you're not answering everybody's question.
No,
that's
not
the
at
thing.
all.
That's the thing is like if you go from answering to everybody's question or replying to everybody's comment to then doing it every 5th to every 10th to every 100th to every 200th to every 1000th, like it kind of sucks. It feels weird. It feels dirty, but at the same time.
Special for the people that you reply to, though.
Yeah, you have to understand that, like, as viewers, and I know this, like, when I comment on Jacksepticeye or Markiplier, like, the odds of them seeing, like, when Jacksepticeye commented back on one of the things I said, like, that was, the odds of him seeing that are super small.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Versus, like, us, we're going to respond to the majority of the comments, so.
Talk to us. We like talking to you. While you can. And before we get far too big and famous for our own good.
If we do.
If we do. Let's be honest. We just do what we do, and we hope that good things happen. And we'll stick to it. So that is all I have. That's the entirety of the official Level 2 podcast this week.
Which episode is it, Tom?
So much for tuning in. 42? 3? 43. Episode 43. So bad with that. And as always, we love you guys so much, and we appreciate you. We have to say it a lot because we mean it. It's been a slow little while for us. We've both had individual things we've been dealing with, not least to mention the gout. But outside of that, we needed the week off. We had a lot of things going on, and we are grateful that you allowed us that time to do that. But we are back with a bang this week. And hopefully you've enjoyed all the new content, all the new reviews. And
I got some news here. EA closes Visceral Games.
Interesting. What do they do? Was Visceral Dead Space?
How do you spell Visceral? I don't think I spelled it right. Sorry. Breaking news here.
Breaking news. Yeah, that looks like Dead Space.
There's a Star Wars game is what they're working on. Shutting down Visceral Games behind Battlefield, Hardline, and Dead Space.
Hardline was shit.
The Star Wars game in development at Visceral will be revamped and moved to a different studio. That's interesting.
Breaking last-minute news, guys. There you go.
Sorry.
EA dumps Visceral.
Yeah. Well.
Super EA.
Interesting. I can't wait to read that.
So, but yeah, back to the show here. Thank you so much for listening. If you're on the audio side of things on the podcast, we know that we have a nice big following there, and we really appreciate each and every one of you. And of course, for those of you tuning into the video version, we appreciate you too. Best thing you can possibly do for us, if you like us and you want us to get to the point where we get stopped in the street by strangers, is to simply share the content. If you really dig something, if you think that Codename is a really really fun VR show, share it with your friends that like VR. If you think that Indie Please Add Details is a really interesting podcast about the indie development scene, then please share it with your indie development fan friends. And if you think that two people talking shit at a table for an hour is interesting, then please share this video.
And if you're on the audio format, write ratings, comments.
Yeah,
on there.
ratings.
It helps a lot.
Put some ratings and comments and stuff in there. Help us rise the ranks of the charts so we're easier to find. We love you, Legion. You're the best. Thanks a lot for listening. And as always,
welcome to the second level.
Bye-bye.
Ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level.